I want to talk to you a little bit about this rifle, this Galil Golani Sporter rifle, and let's show what this rifle is all about. It's based on an Israel Galil rifle, semi-automatic, .223 caliber, side-folding stock. This rifle, when I look at this rifle, people have said it's a little bit like an AK-47 or an M16 that you use in war. Is this the kind of rifle that you want to be cleaning inside of a house at 2:30 in the morning? Or is this the kind of rifle where there should be a lot more safety used when handling it?
This is a pretty sophisticated rifle. The Golani 223 is basically a replica of a Israeli military rifle. It's actually made, manufactured in Israel, and sent to this country in parts. And it comes to one of the companies here, and I think this rifle in particular was Century Arms, where it's reassembled and it's basically sold. Usually I would assume something like this is going to need an FFL, which is a federal firearms license to sell. But in this case, this is a highly sophisticated weapon. The cartridge that comes out of it is a 223. The bullet travels on average anywhere depending on the type of bullet. And there's a good picture of it right there. It all depends on the type of bullet, whether it's a full copper-jacketed round nose or pointed, et cetera, et cetera. It exits the muzzle of that weapon anywhere between 2,700 feet per second to 3,700 feet per second. Now, if we took the average on this weapon, and I'm going to say somewhere around 3,000 feet per second, that's 2,045 miles per hour.
Wow.
I mean, that's the speed of sound is roughly what, 620 or 680? So this actually hits you before you even hear it. And
wow.
That's at 30 feet, the loss is negligible. At 100 yards, it gets knocked down to 2,700 feet per second. 100 yards, a football field. At over a quarter of a mile or 1,500 feet or 500 yards, that bullet is still traveling at 1,300 feet per second. So you're still over the speed of sound. And you're talking a great distance. So this is a very highly sophisticated weapon. It is a sporting rifle, hence it's a knockoff of a military rifle.
Unbelievable. When you talk, I mean, that's just unbelievable when you talk about this rifle in that presence in that house. But then what is this usually? You said it was a military rifle. What kind of rifle, what is this usually used for? Is it used for target practice? You're making me think it might be used as a rifle when you're trying to really aim and hit something.
You know, in the greater scheme of things, Ryan, this is a weapon that kills. And if for an individual, the basic common citizen to own something like this is almost ridiculous. If you told me this guy was an adventurer and he traveled on African safaris 4 times a year to kill elephants, I'd say, okay, this is a great weapon to kill tigers and lions and bears. Oh, my. Look, this is not the kind of weapon. It's not a toy. This is a serious, serious weapon. They call it a sporting rifle. You know what? It's an outright military assault rifle. I don't care what anybody tells me. Not something that the average... And to use this thing, you cannot be a novice. You have to have some knowledge of weapons and use of weapons. I think Mark, in this case, he uses this weapon. He knows what he's doing. And let's get into... If you want to get into the physics and the mathematics of this weapon, if this weapon fell off a table, you have to understand something. The reason that there's a trigger guard on this weapon is that's what it really is. It's a guard. You would have to get something in that trigger, whether it's a finger or a pencil, and the weight of the rifle. Could it fire? Yeah, it could. However, your trajectory is not going to look anything the way it looks right now, based on Walker's explanation, and I think he's right on target, no pun intended. So realistically speaking, this trigger needs a trigger pull on this weapon in particular, anywhere between 3 and 7 pounds per square inch. That's 3 pounds per square inch on a trigger pull.
Wow.
That's pretty significant for a weapon like this. So let's average it out. Let's say it's 3.5 pounds. So you need 3.5 pounds of pressure on that weapon. And I believe the weapon was recovered, loaded with another round chambered in the chambered. Correct?
Right, and we're going to get to that in a second, but I see what you're saying. You're getting to the point of there would have to be some pressure on that trigger, not just an accidental situation, in order for it to fire.
Correct. You can't just throw it on the floor and expect it to go off. It's not going to happen. The probability is almost zero. I mean, and if it did, again, you'd have to have something in that trigger. And the ballistic experts have examined the weapon, and they've even said, no, the weapon is functioning the way it's supposed to function, and that's what they're there for. And again, they've all done an exemplary job in explaining this.
All right, Dan, thank you so much.